to talk about searching for a therapist or starting therapy. I know we are entering into 2023, and a lot of us may have therapy on our mind. A lot of us, some of the things that maybe we want to do for 2023 is to focus on ourselves. A lot of us, maybe we want self development, self growth, self care, self love, all these things we want for ourselves. And therapy can be one of those great tools that can help us on that journey. I want to share with you some tips from me as a therapist to guide you on your search for a therapist. One of the things I want to recommend for you as you go on your search is for you to sit down with yourself and to do some self introspection or self reflection. Therapy is a daunting journey, or therapy is a lot of work. I am in therapy and I am a therapist at the same time. So it gives me some sort of a unique perspective. But the process or the journey of being in therapy can be a lot. So I usually recommend for you that you go to therapy for yourself, not because of somebody, not because somebody is making you do it, but you go to therapy for yourself. So before you search for a therapist, sit down with yourself and do some self introspection to see why you want to go to therapy. Here are some questions to guide you on this self reflection. Number one, why do you want to start therapy now? What are you looking to explore in therapy? What are you afraid of as you start therapy? How can you keep your motivation going as you start therapy for even the days when you don't feel like going to your sessions or you don't feel like being in therapy? What is the mystery or what is the unknown about therapy? What are you looking forward to in therapy? And what are you not looking forward to in therapy? These questions can be a great starting point to explore your reasons and also to give you insight. Because there are going to be days where you feel like you don't want to go to therapy or you don't want to see your therapist or you're just tired of talking about things. But when you sit down and you think about it beforehand and how you can keep your motivation going, it could be a great tool for the days when you don't feel like going to therapy. Now let's talk about your search. If you have insurance, the first thing you can do is to call your insurance provider and ask them for therapists in network. This way, your sessions are covered, and sometimes your copay could be as little as $10 or $0. With insurance, you can also use Alma and Headway to look for therapists who take your insurance. Alma and Headway is like a directory, and their directory is mainly made up of therapists who take insurances such as Aetna, Oscar, Oxford, and United Care. That would be a great way to start, and it's also a great way to ensure that your sessions are covered by your insurance. Another way to search is using therapy directory or therapist directories. One of the biggest directories is Psychology Today, so you can do your search from there. A preferred one for me is Inclusive Therapist, so that's a great resource to use. As the name suggests, they usually have therapists who have experiences or specialize in working with people from marginalized communities. So that is Black people, people of color, immigrants, queer people, people with disability, all of those things. So inclusive therapist is a great way to look for a therapist. The other ones are Therapy for Black Girls, Therapy for Black Men, Open Path Collective. And Open Path Collective specifically, they offer their directories have a list of therapists that offer sliding scale. So the cost for sessions ranges between $35 to I think about $65. So Open Path Collective, if you are looking for sliding scale options. The next thing that I would say is that as you go on your search, is a lot of therapists offer 15-minute consultation. So use that 15-minute consultation to do like a vibe check, checking the vibe. Is this a therapist that I can vibe with? Is this a therapist that I see myself growing with or having a relationship with? Because the most important thing for therapy is the relationship that you have with your therapist. The work in therapy really depends on the relationship that you have with your therapist. So is this a person that you see yourself growing with? And of course, trust grows. People earn your trust. So as the relationship grow, the level of trust is going to grow. But it is somebody that you feel comfortable with. Use that 15-minute consultation for like a vibe check, checking the vibe of the therapist. In this 15-minute consultation, the therapist is going to ask you questions about why you're starting therapy, where you are located, maybe are you looking for virtual or in-person sessions, all of those things. So use that to your advantage. I would say that pick at least 3 therapists and do this 15-minute consultation with. Go through all those 3 therapists and then check the one that you feel most comfortable with and then have a backup plan so that just in case you reach out to one and they're like, "Oh, unfortunately, I'm no longer available," you still have a backup plan. And in that 15-minute consultation, this is specifically for people of color, for Black people, for people from marginalized communities. I say that ask the therapist some questions. Here are some questions that you can ask the therapist. You can ask them, what is their experience in working with, if there is a specific social identity that is important to you, ask them. Let's say, for example, I am a Black woman. So I can ask them, what is your experience working with Black women, in America? And then you would know. Another thing that you can ask them to get their idea of how they approach their work or how they analyze the issues that clients bring in is to ask them, how do you understand the unique challenges of, let's say, Black women in America? Or how do you understand the unique challenges of immigrants in America? I am an immigrant. So when I go and as I search for a therapist, these are things that are really important to me. I want a therapist that understands my unique challenges, not specifically a therapist who is an immigrant or a Black therapist, but a therapist who has perspective, who has insight into the unique challenges that Black people or that immigrant people face in America. So asking this question gives you an answer, and then you can decide, is this answer sufficient for you or is it not sufficient for you? So use that 15-minute consultation. We've talked about some questions to ask. So the next thing that I would say on your search is to use Instagram, TikTok, social media, or Google to look for a therapist. Gone are the days where therapists were these mysterious people that we know nothing about them. Now, therapists are on Instagram, they are on social media, so you get to see them. You get to do a vibe check, right? I am a therapist and I'm here. You get to see how I talk with my hand and all of those things. Some people may like that, some people may not like that. So you get to see that and you get to use that information to make a decision. So use TikTok, use Instagram, use those hashtags, all of those things. You can even use LinkedIn. Use Google to search for therapists near me, therapists in my neighborhood, therapists around me, all of these things to search for a therapist. All right, so I want to hear from you. Have you been thinking about therapy? What is keeping you from taking that first step? If you're, like on the fence, like I don't want to do this, I want to do this. I want to hear what's keeping you from taking that first step, and maybe there is something that I can do to support you or to answer some questions that you may have. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Please subscribe. Please share with friends and community and let us all learn together. So let's recap what we talked about today. We discussed, or I shared with you some tips to finding a therapist. And in that, I provided some questions to ask yourself before you go on this journey, before you take that first step. Asking yourself those questions, very important. Using your insurance, if you have insurance, to get in network therapists, using Alma and Headway to look for therapists that take your insurance, using 15-minute consultations that therapists offer to get a vibe or to do a vibe check with a therapist, using social media and Google, Instagram, TikTok, all those things to look for a therapist. So that's what we talked about. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear your tips also. What other tips do you have that you use to find a therapist? Let us all learn together. Share it in the comment section and let's all learn together. That's how we grow together. So share your tips and let us all learn. You don't know who that might be helpful to or who is going to find it helpful. So do that. So as always, I would say have a great week on purpose. And if you cannot have a great week, as Aunt Tabitha would say, don't go around ruining somebody else's week. All right. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see you next Sunday for the next video.